method feeders. These are in and out of fashion, it seems. Great technique. I'm going to show you in a little while how to put a ball and method around there and the way that I do it. Some people basically put their bait into the method feeder, and other people leave the hook link sitting right out of it. And what I tend to do is just using my thumb and a little BB shot, put the rig into the method like that. And the reason I do that, it basically stops it from tangling on the cast. You've still got the bait outside the method, so if it does land on the bottom and it hasn't broken apart, then the bait is still exposed and they're not rolling it about. Some people used to think a lot that the fish moved the bait about and rummaged about until they got that hook bait in their mouths, but I've tended to find that they'll spook at that point, you know. So what I'm aiming for is to put quite a loose method mix on, and then basically I'm trying to belly flop it on the surface of the water on the cast so that it breaks up, and as it hits the water basically that detaches and lands on the bottom like that. And then also, you know, you've got your crumb and everything all laying around it. What I'm going to do, put some mix together, show you how I do the mix, and then I'll show you how it goes on there. Right, for the start for my method mix, what I'm going to do is just put some stick mix in. What I've got here is like a maggot riddle that the match anglers use. And the reason that I'm going to use the riddle is to break all the big bits apart and to separate them from all the small bits. The reason I'm going to do that, as you'll see in a second, is because I'm going to try and get as much air into this bait as possible. Carp anglers generally tend to make method mix up out of skull pellets and things like that, whereas match anglers try to use very fine crumbs, also adding bits like sweet corn and hemp and you know, crushed hemp and stuff like that. But what they try to do all the time is get as much air into the bait as possible. So basically when that method ball or bits of method ball are sitting on the bottom, they're fizzing away, the trapped air is sort of coming out of the bait, and then and also they're sort of like the natural oils that are in the mix, and also the sort of dry particles and stuff like that are coming up in the water column. So I've got all the big bits out of the mix now. I'm going to add these back in there shortly, but just get them out for now. When you watch sort of like match and course anglers, they really sort of keep turning their mix all the time, trying to keep it quite dry. They want it to hold together for the cast, but they're trying to keep it as dry as possible and trying to get as much air into it as possible as well. I'm going to use this drill at 2 points, one before we pour the water and the liquid flavour in, and then afterwards, just again trying to trap as much air. Feel like Gordon Ramsay. Right, also another nice little touch that I've seen the match anglers do as well is they don't just pour their liquid flavours in and their water in separately. They tend to find that it globulates and you get patches that have got flavours in and bits of bait that haven't got flavours in. So what they tend to do is fill a water bottle with lake water, put however much flavour they want into the mix, give it a really good shake. Then obviously when they're pouring the water in now, that has sort of got the dissipated flavours in it, so it's nice and evenly spread throughout the mix. Now, like a lot of mixing, add a little bit, mix it up and add some more. If you whack it in really quick, and what you tend to find is you can overkill it and make it really too wet and too stodgy. So as you can see, I'm not trying to make a bucket of cement, I'm trying to make a bucket of really nice and light and fluffy mix. Right, going to put the big bits back in, give them a little mix together. Then back in with a drill, just to create as much air in there as possible. This is what you call quiet carping. Right, now we've got the mix to pretty much the consistency that we want it. Just going to add a few crushed boilies. Again, sticking with the tiger nut ones. This time of year, great bait. I'm going to go mad with these. Wrong side. And I'm not going to go mad with the crusher either. These crushers just mint stuff up really quickly and it will just turn it to dust like is what's in there. So I'm just going to give it a few turns just to sort of break them in halves and in quarters. So basically it's left like that. If I give that too much, then that'll... So not loads of boilies in there, just a few bits. If you put too many big bits in the method mix, then it won't hold together. So what I use is just a half a PVA nugget, and I'll just put it on the point of the hook, and then I'll just roll it round. Yeah, that just helps protect the hook during the cast, and when it lands on the bottom, basically, because that nugget's got loads of trapped air in it, it pops off really quick. So take a little bit of mix, just dough it up in your hand, and then what I tend to do is put that in my left hand and push the weighted part of the korda feeder into the mix. I'll then lap the hook link up over my thumb and just have the shot just inside the feeder, and then put on a bit more mix. I've gone a bit too heavy there, but be alright. Then just work your way around the feeder, making sure that it all stays nice and compact. Don't want to go too mad low, because all the time that you're pushing that tighter, you're working the air back out of it, and we don't want to head towards that big solid lump. So basically there we have it. I'm not going to whack this 150 yards, yeah, this is for sort of short to medium range method feeding, keeping the rod going backwards and forwards on the same spot, and obviously where the mix is still quite dry and it's got a lot of trapped air in it, working the spot is keeping all of them food particles and nice oils up in the water column, which can make the fish feed really aggressively. So when I cast, I try to get that to slap on the surface, and as you can see, that breaks up really easy. Yeah, and basically by the time it's hit the bottom, that should be detached completely, and all the method mix is then dropping down on top of the baited rig.